I call the shots, I never call it quits. Trust my intuition, bet it's right and bitch, it often is. Seen too many others come and go, they had the wrong intent. Do it out of love and never for it, then I watch it get bigger than expected. No second guess it, I let it set in. It's God's plan, we out here only accepting blessings. I'm stuck with it, this mindset is terminal. In and out different terminals, leveling up is personal. And I already made it, y'all can miss me. I smack my girl's ass, tell her pinch me. It's hard to believe I made something from nothing. No hindsight discussions, I've been writing, I love it.
Welcome to the 3 Gig Sports Podcast, where we are never wrong, just sometimes misinformed. We got Jimmer and myself, Danny G, in the house. Let's get the party started, baby. It feels like it's been forever.
It's been one hell of a vacation. What is it? 3 weeks probably, I think, since our last one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it feels good to be back.
It does, but it feels good to just be able to chill and watch sports too.
A lot of sports going on. I know my my son's middle school team wrapped up their season. Oh, man. Last game against Eagle Grove, and this team that they're going against is not good, right? Not good at all. We got shit stomped.
Bad?
38 to Biff.
Ooh.
And I'm talking every last one of the kids. There was one kid that played exactly like what you're supposed to play and with the heart and everything. There's one kid on our team that was really doing that. There was another couple that were pretty close to that, and then the rest of the team, the offensive line. And this is talking about my son, by the way, too. Oh, my God. He got an earful the whole damn way back. I'm like, I don't care about the loss. You know, it's middle school football. I don't care about that. Attitude and effort, right? Two things you can control. They both kind of go together.
Yeah,
good attitude. If the good attitude's there, usually, or the good effort's there, usually the good attitude's there. You know, kind of bounces off of each other. And I'm like, we have preached. That's the reason why I was pissed, right? We went over shit. We have practiced. I've preached so many things to him, pounding shit into his head all season long. Final game against an inferior opponent. And it isn't like we've been good all year. We have a tie. We didn't even get a win. We have a tie. Where I'm like, here we go. This is it. No effort. Everything we literally went over just completely out the door. I was like, what the hell happened? That was the worst game I've ever seen you play. And that's me talking about my son.
Yeah.
That was 3/4 of the team. Abysmal. Nobody wanted to block. Nobody wanted to tackle. That's not usually a big surprise around this area. Nobody wants to tackle. Yeah, but that season's over. I guess on to basketball/wrestling. My oldest son, has last regular season game this Friday. He has one extra game they put on every year. The state of Iowa does if you don't make the playoffs. And they drew Eagle Grove.
All right.
I thought it was supposed to be Newman, which would have been way better, but
yeah. Man, I think for your youngest son, next year is going to be a little bit of a slap in the face because football is going to get a little more serious. Yeah. It's like you got to decide, man. Because not only, it's not a situation where you're going to play because we need the bodies. It's like you might not play if you don't have the effort. And not just for him, obviously, for everybody, right? But it's like it's going to get a little more serious. So you decide, like, how much effort you really want to put in and actually help the team. And
well, that's the part that bugged me. I'm like, usually he doesn't lack that. Like, the first game or two, we had to get down to the nitty-gritty about when you're offensive line, don't just pop up. You're a defense line. Don't just pop up. Stay low. Going over stances. Going over this all season. And he had it down. He had a game where, oh my God, it was so they didn't win, but he played so damn well, especially on the offensive line. Like he was getting up to the next level too, like hitting linebackers and shit.
Go.
And I was excited. Everything was clicking. He usually is like the heart. At least he like gets people pumped up and shit like that. And I don't know what happened yesterday. That isn't, and you're right though. Just because you're a small town does not mean you're gonna necessarily play. So he needs to take that one right there. It's his favorite sport too. So I'm like, dude, this is your sport. Why do I need to get you up for this one?
Yeah, hopefully get rid of that, right? 8th grade isn't as big a deal. It's middle school anyway, so you're not going to be as consistent as you are in high school. So hopefully they get that out of the way. They get tired of losing, and things start to kind of change around, man.
Yeah. We've missed all kinds of crazy shit in the football world, right? And instead of reeling all the way back, unless something strikes my mind or yours, we kind of have cat moments. We'll touch more on the more recent history, right? The Vikings put Justin Jefferson on IR, hamstring, and they are not, a direct quote multiple times, they are not bringing him back until he is 100% healthy. What does that tell you?
Yeah, man. Let the losing streak roll, apparently. That's tough.
Competitive rebuild.
Yeah, looked like one of those feisty teams, kind of like Arizona did the first couple games. Like, yeah, we can play with anybody, but you're not going to win, you know?
Yeah.
It's really tough, and you know it sucks for him because he's super competitive, and he's the reason we were as good as we were last year and as good as whatever that is this year. So it's a big deal, man. But here's the thing I'm excited about besides the competitive rebuild and getting a new quarterback is I want to see what Addison can actually do. And I think he's going to become the main focus.
That's awesome because I brought that up to my son too. I'm like, don't get me wrong. Justin Jefferson is the best wide receiver in the league. There's no argument with me. There's nothing to even talk about in that aspect. There's something that will bring up this. Nope. Best wide receiver in the league. You know he's getting the ball, and you can't stop it. Doesn't matter. But him being out will open up. You will see these two receivers. I've been big on KJ. He's gotten a little lost in the shuffle with Jordan Addison's kind of coming up. What the hell has happened to Hawkinson, by the way? Dude's dropping balls, fumbling. I don't know what the hell's going on. You get your contract. Come on, brother. Like, I'm with you. I was so excited that you got that and everything. And come on. But then you're going to see, like I said, Jordan Addison. You see KJ Osborne. You're going to see what these guys have to bring to the table. What Addison has shown so far has been special.
Yeah.
He's one hell of a route runner. He gets separation. A little quicker version than maybe even JJ himself.
He's fast, dude.
Yeah. And then KJ is, I think, way underrated. You don't think about it. You don't see it. He usually is one of the clutch guys at the end when you need something. Then they have triple coverage on JJ. And then all of a sudden, oh, yeah, that's right. I have a receiver over here, too.
Yep.
So you get to see some of that. But all those wins last year by one score are coming back to nip us in the ass, right? That's what we're losing by.
Yeah. Yeah, and it sucks because it's the same thing, last year. The reason we came back and won, or the reason we had to come back is because we started behind, and that's what we do. We start flat. Seems like almost every game. Mm-hmm. The other team jumps up by 10 or more, right? And then we finally get our shit together and we start scoring points. And so I don't know if that's a coaching thing, if that's a lot on Kirk. I don't know if they just are better at making adjustments or like, oh, now let's do this. But I don't like that at all. Like, we need to jump on some teams here. We have no reason not to, or had with JJ. But yeah,
I agree with you 100%. But it's been a lot, and it's still nipping us, right? It wasn't as many, so it didn't look like it as bad in this one. But what happened? The very first pass completion, beautiful play, drawing up everything, fumbled the ball.
The turnovers have been insane.
They've been so insane all year long. This one didn't seem as bad, but it seemed like it was kind of going to nip us in the ass, right? Like, you started off getting, I think it was at least a 7-yarder for sure, but it was a beautiful ran play with not even by a receiver, though. That's the point, is that it was by our backup tight end. And fumble. And killed the drive, and that's how it starts. That's not to even get to the part where the officiating bailed Kansas City out for sure. Anyone that is not a Kansas City fan, and maybe even some of the real football fans that are Kansas City fans will admit, that was horrendous.
Bad.
That was not there. A pass interference was not called in the end zone, which it should have been. Completely could not let him get to the ball in any way, shape, or form. You're not allowed to do that. You yank him down, any of that bullshit. Pass interference, correct? Dude takes his helmet off. You literally see the ref say, go like this. Put your helmet on. Didn't get a flag for that. Now that wouldn't have gotten us a first down. That isn't how it works. But they didn't get penalized on it to where to even back them up. Then Harrison Smith gets a bullshit pass interference call on him. If you go back and look at the tape on that one, he doesn't really even touch him. And then the receiver grabs him to try to get him out of the way for the ball. Funny thing about that play, it was on this side, right? Yeah, it was this side, right hand. The ref that threw the flag was literally right behind him to the right. Like he easily saw what actually happened.
Yeah.
A lot of bad. Like we're shooting ourselves in the foot, but this game just felt like we just definitely got robbed of this one.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff in the NFL this year that's really showing that like money is involved. Like when you talk about that field goal that the Rams kicked for absolutely no reason earlier.
You mean the no script and we're also talking the obviously gambling of like what you're saying.
Right.
Vegas.
Yeah, so
made no sense as time expired.
Yeah, all that did was cover, right?
Yeah.
And then in the Vikings game with the refs, and it seems to be Chiefs games, man. Every time there's just a critical moment, something weird happens like that. It's kind of like they're trying to help them when they're not playing the best to keep them up there. But even for all the Chiefs fans that like to say, it wasn't pass interference, it wasn't this, blah, 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 they have this defense. Like Patty, I don't know if you saw that. He was on the sideline saying like the ball got tipped.
Pass because he knows
what happened. Well, guess what? It didn't get tipped.
No.
So that's PI, brother.
Yeah.
So even Patty knew.
That it was pass interference, and he was trying to defend the other way, saying it was a tip pass. So that's the reason why,
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
So
I want to know one thing, because me and you believe, or at least I believe, that the league is rigged to a certain extent. There is a script of some version, way, or form. Now, you can't make everything planned. It isn't like there's a GPS chip in the goddamn football, right? That goes right to someone's glove when it needs to. It's little stuff when, like, hey, I need a certain flag at a certain point to make sure that this game gets to where it needs to go. It's more about the yardage, like where you play someone, so it gives them the opportunity to do that, right?
Yeah.
How in the fuck, especially in the one that we're talking about that, especially it was the Rams, right, that kicked that field goal to cover.
Yep.
Right? How in the hell do you get this whole damn league, including coaches have to be part of it to a certain extent, right? They have to. Because why would the coach say kick a field goal?
Right.
So they have to know. To a certain extent, they have to know. Like whether it's the full script, which I doubt. I do doubt that a little bit. But like when it comes to like the spread, like, hey, you're gonna get some cheddar. But how in the hell do you keep all these guys quiet, Danny?
I don't know, man.
Not one person's gonna come out and say like, dude, this is fucked up. And the few that do, they just shoot down right away. I know you've seen some of the players that have came out and said some stuff.
Yeah, I don't know how it goes, but it definitely happens. I don't know if the refs are the biggest part, right? Just like in the NBA, like they're the biggest. You just have to change just enough to get the momentum going, and all of a sudden the game is totally different. So it seems like their impact was little, but it was a big deal for the end result. I wonder if we'll start hearing more from coaches or someone else. Like, I'm surprised refs don't get paid. We think that's a big part of everything, right? Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't someone finally come out and be like, this is what's going on? Like, you've heard recently, or at least fairly recently in the NBA, Andre Iguodala talking about, I think he's on Gilbert's podcast, and he's talking about Game 7 is the hardest game you will ever win. He's like, and I can't tell you why, but if you want to win by 7, you've got to win by 18, basically, is what it is. And then I don't remember who is on there with him, but he's like, I'll explain it. And he breaks it down. He's like, it's you're fighting against the refs at that point to win the game, you know, in those situations. They're flat out saying it, you know, and people are going to discredit it and do whatever like they do. But I'm surprised we don't hear more, because there's definitely shady shit.
It needs to be a little louder because, like, I did see that. I do remember seeing that. It needs to be guys like that, though, that you don't have much of a history of. You can't say they're crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Because Andre Iguodala, nobody's ever claimed him to be crazy, you know?
No.
You can't have, like, a Rasheed Wallace going on there or something, you know, or a Dennis Rodman or anything like that, but need more people. I'm just shocked that there isn't one. I'm like, are you kidding me? We got to wait for someone to get popped before they roll, like Tim Donaghy. Like, he's rolling on all these guys, telling the goddamn. I think he's telling the truth, because at this point, why would he come out and say anything? There's nothing he can gain at this point, in my opinion. It isn't like I feel any sorrow for him, so he's not gaining anything that way. So why would he go and say all this? He's talking about Steve Javie, which you may not. I don't know if you pay attention to that, but he's you know how the NFL does the in-game. Retired announcer or whatever, a ref that will like explain. Yeah, he's the NBA version of that. Well, he used to call games back in the day, and he used to tell them that this is how this is gonna go. He was the guy that they would stick in game 6 to make sure a game will go to game 7. He was the one officiating, Danny. That was part of that Sacramento, LA, atrocious game 6. Yeah, he was the lead official in that. So I'm just shocked that it doesn't have, like, how were you able to keep all this so hush? Jesus.
Yeah, who was, I'm trying to remember the guy talking to AI. It was, he said he played for Philly back when LeBron was on the Heat, and it was game 7 against Boston. And he's like, yeah, man, like, let's get this. We'll try to win this, whatever. And his teammate's like, we're not going to win this game, dude. He's like, what the fuck? He's like, who do you think the NBA wants to see playing Miami? Do you think they want to see us? Or do you think they want to see Boston? And he's like, basically joking. He's like, God damn, you're right. He's like, I'd want to see Boston, and I play for Philly. Like, type of deal. Right. You know, so it's that kind of shit. And we need to, I wish we could hear more of that honesty, but at the same time, it's like, I wonder how locked down they have to keep it, because that's so much of their revenue right now. Imagine, because it's gambling, basically. That'd be rigged, right? All of a sudden, you can't gamble anymore. You know what I mean? If it comes out that it's proven.
No, you still can. Because you can still gamble on WWE, and we know that's scripted.
Did they actually approve that yet?
I thought it was.
They were trying to. I don't know if they approved it yet.
Because I thought you could bet on like the winners of.
Maybe you're right.
Even if it is totally scripted.
Right. Yeah, that's hilarious.
It's messed up, but. So before we get too far off that, and I forget, Kirko, give me your % chance that he finishes the season with Minnesota.
Man, we're not looking good. JJ's out. We're not going to win. And I did mention this before we got on, that a reporter asked him about if he's willing to waive his no trade clause, and he completely sidestepped the question. Things are adding up, man. I think there's a 70% chance he doesn't finish the season in Minnesota.
Okay, that's a big enough chunk. Let me give you their. Because I'm with you, but they're still not out of it. So let me read their. I'll give you the remaining schedule. I'll just reel it down because it's not. I don't think it's that impressive. You have some tough games, a couple tough games left. They played a pretty tough stretch outside of the Panthers to start the season. We gave no respect or love to the Buccaneers defense, by the way. We all overlooked that like they just completely disappeared with old boy as their head coach, who was a defensive mind. I didn't give him enough love.
Well, yeah, between that and the fact that Baker's playing the best football he ever has.
Yeah, he has.
Like, what?
Like, okay, they may not have to draft a quarterback.
Right.
Okay? All right, let me give you the remaining schedule. Reel it off quick. Bears, Niners, Packers, Falcons, Saints, Broncos, Bears, Raiders, Bengals, Lions, Packers, Lions.
Yeah, I mean,
they would have to win a few of these games in a row, right? Like, they'd have to win a few to even the thought of keeping him. The Niners coming up in next week. That one probably hurts a little bit, but
yeah. The Bears is like, even though historically the Bears have bad teams, again, right? They play us well. Their quarterback shows up and plays way better than they ever should against us every fucking time.
Yep.
So I worry about the Bears games just because that tends to be what happens. The Lions are really fucking good. You mentioned the Niners. The Falcons depends on what team shows up. I'm not worried about the Packers as much anymore. Jordan Love is
he's what we
cheap
thought.
Version of Dak Prescott, right?
Way cheap version of. He may be honestly worse than Dak Prescott's backup.
Man, he just has been. He fell off a cliff, right?
Mm-hmm. They have game tape now. They have true game tape. They have plenty of game tape now. Like, you can see what it is. There's nothing scary about that, man.
No.
The more I read this, except for, I'm with you, because the Falcons are night and day, right?
Yeah.
The Broncos, you don't know. Their defense is really bad. Like, I don't know how they went from, like, top tier to
bottom tier.
What? Like that. Boom.
Yeah.
I'm like, I understand you got an offensive coach. You went from a defense coach to offense coach, but usually you want to fall off like that.
Yeah. Agreed.
That is horrendous. Enough to where you even kind of feel bad for Russell Wilson.
No.
Do you see how much they paid him, right? And the head coach for what they've gotten and what they've given up. But regardless, I'm actually seeing maybe a 4-win team. We will have a shot at Drake May or Caleb Williams.
Man.
I'm going to say 80%. And the only reason why I'm not at 90+% up to 100 is because it depends on who the suitor is going to be. There's some teams that are competitive for it. We keep talking the Jets, but I brought an interesting scenario to you. What if Aaron Rodgers does defy his injury in his return and is ready for the playoffs? You traded for Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins gets you to the playoffs. You're not going to play Kirk Cousins. You're going to start Aaron Rodgers because he came back healthy.
That's a really good point. There's another way more likely one that came to my mind because we got to think about teams that are competing because he's want to go to one.
Oh, yeah.
Like, even if it's a 1 year, give me a shot to go to a Super Bowl.
He controls the fate of it. He has a no trade clause, so up to him.
What if Tua gets hurt?
Ooh.
He that's his system, right?
Yeah. That's an extension of the Niners.
Mm-hmm. That's if you think about because Joey's already hurt, but he's coming back. You think about some of those top tiers like Josh Allen. That'd be a lot tougher to plug Kirk into a system like that. I think if Tua got hurt, I think that would be it because they know if they've got a quarterback, they could make a serious run, and they might be willing to,
I know.
And if he gets hurt, more than likely it's going to be long-term this time instead of...
Especially if it has anything to do with concussion.
Yeah.
Right? There's a couple that come to my mind that are legitimately competitive. And we just talked about it as one of them. What about the wishy-washy Atlanta Falcons? They're a run-heavy team. You just need him to complete his high percentage passes every so often with their defensive mind that they've been doing. Like, this is back-to-back years where they're keeping teams. They're playing tight teams. Maybe they need the separation of just that. In the weak NFC South, where the best team so far is the Buccaneers.
Yeah. The Bucs,
maybe the Saints. But the Saints are very wishy-washy too. Like the offense hasn't been very.
Yeah, it sucks. They've all got good records, but they haven't played anybody.
Right.
Right. At least with the wins. But that's interesting. I could see. Would he want to go there long term? Yeah, because that's maybe. Yeah. He would. Anything that has to deal with that, I think that's the only thing that will hold him back on any one of these. He's like, I want to talk to the owner of that team, and I want to have a deal in place then. I think that's the only thing that would hold him back. Like, the offers have to be there, right? But other than that, I think he just wants commitment from whoever he gets it from. That's all he wants. Well, okay, so let's stay in that division then. Because I think... ultimately, this could come down to injury. That's why I keep coming back to this. A team that's competing, quarterback gets hurt, right? Otherwise, why would you do it right now? Because you're probably a bad team. And so it's got to be a good team. But what about Tampa? Something happens with Baker. I'm just thinking about talent around him. Baker's not probably the future. Yeah. He's not set long-term with them. There's a fucking shitload of talent. Obviously, the defense is back. Maybe there's another spot, too.
You know what? It's warm down there. Big Kirko comes dripping like that.
He does come dripping like that, baby.
I agree. I think there's going to be more out there, especially if we get to the injury side of it. I think there's some teams that'd be intrigued. The Jets, I think they would be stupid not to because I think they could compete right now. Zach Wilson has all the arm talent in the world. I've watched it. I've watched some of these games because they've been on primetime thinking it was Aaron Rodgers, right? That was supposed to be. He has all the arm talent in the world, Danny. He really does. He has a zip. He can make all the throws that Aaron Rodgers does make, except for he doesn't do it with accuracy. And he's too late on that. He doesn't see the play coming before it happens, and he's too late on it, and he tries to go arm talent college mode.
This fucking guy, I was listening to something, and they were talking about the fastest. It was a guy interviewing Sidney Crosby, and he's comparing his slap shot to like a kicker's kick and all these different things. The fastest throw in the NFL was Zach. And it was over 60 mile an hour with a fucking football. That is nuts to me.
Dude, I believe it. If you watch him, he has all the arm talent in the world to make every play that you want. Every single damn play you want. His problem is processing and doing it before, seeing the throw and throwing it there before they get there. That is his problem. If you look at watch some of these games and just watch him go throw, all the arm talent in the world, he's just late on every last one of the throws.
So what, they trade Zach Wilson? We get Zach Wilson?
No, I don't want that.
Praying for some upside of that Chiefs game?
No, not unless we're getting Mama Kelsey up in the stands every single game. Maybe Kevin O'Connell's mom can sit up there because he's that MILF slayer.
Yeah, 100%.
Right, but no, I want no part of that action. What I mean is, they'd be stupid to not hold on. We have a legitimate contending team right now. Their defense is 100% legit. They have running backs. They have the run game. They have receivers, right? We've talked about this. Yeah. Their offensive line is very sketch. Well, you know what Kirk Cousins is used to?
Sketch offensive
line. They're actually a lot better this year, and he's been holding on to the ball too long too. So I do believe that, but I think it's enough on the Vikings part of it.
All right, one last question though. JJ went down. How many teams jumped up and said, "Yo, what do you want for Kirk? Can we make a deal done?" Because I feel like some teams had to reach out right away, right?
Some of them had to, especially after they saw the quote, right, that they're waiting for 100% healthy. You don't go out of the way to say that.
Right.
You may believe it. You usually just don't say that because, maybe something gets tight and it's like, hey, you 90%? You good? Hey, let's roll. We need this game because we're back in the hunt.
Right.
I bet you definitely a few kick the tires. So I don't know if the Jets did because you think that would have leaked by now. Some would have had to kick the tires.
I think so too.
There's some teams that have already won a couple games that weren't expected to have already won some games. They're like, hold on. This ain't looking so bad. Maybe if we just have a consistent quarterback, which gets us draft picks, which gets us back to going for our quarterback.
Yes, sir.
Quarterback, and then we get it. Our boy Brian Flores, a defense piece. Because our defense is playing a hell of a lot better. I just think we don't have the talent. It starts showing up to me.
Yeah, we just don't have enough of those guys that can cover those gaps. A lot of even if we had one or two guys that could just cover those gaps, like what the linebacker for the Niners or the. Yeah, either way.
Yeah, Warner. My God, Warner, he was stupid.
So, something like that. You could have 9 bad or average defensive players and have him in your defense is way better than it should be.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what we have. But we have all these players that are playing past their talent level. They're playing hard for Brian Flores. That is one thing I do notice. Yep. Josh Metellus, all these guys. But that's not their capability, though. You can't bank on that because they don't have that, So, yeah. I did have a question for you.
What you got?
The Bears won a game. Okay? Finally won a game. Currently, last time I looked, and it could have changed, and it couldn't have changed by much, but last time I checked, the Bears had the number 1 and number 2 pick so far for next year's draft. What are the chances that Justin Fields gets traded?
Man.
Maybe to retry it out at quarterback, especially after, let me remind you, because we have been gone for a little while. Justin Fields didn't know how to answer a question exactly correct against his coaches, right?
Yeah. The Panthers still haven't won a game.
Mm-hmm.
Cardinals have won 1 game. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about this.
Patriots
they won that 1 game.
Sucked this year.
Which we'll get to.
And the Broncos have won 1 game, which was against your Bears. So, what are the odds that, let's think of if they have the real opportunity to get that number 1 pick? Ooh, man.
Because they have two first rounders. They have two first rounders.
Personally, where it's at now.
The Panthers pick is the Bears. That's DJ Moore.
That's why. Okay,
yeah.
That's why they would have 1 and 2. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to give it very high odds.
It's still 1 and 2 as of right now. Carolina's pick is Chicago, so that is Chicago's number 1 pick, and Chicago has the number 2 pick as of right now with Denver right behind them.
Okay. Well, but I don't think it's Denver's either. So who the fuck? Whose is that? Seattle's?
Oh, it doesn't say that. I don't think they have. They didn't give this one up. Because all of them say, I have this thing on here. It's called Tankathon. It shows Carolina with the arrow to Chicago. It shows Houston's with the arrow to Arizona at number 10. It doesn't show anything for Denver's.
Interesting. Okay.
Cleveland to Houston's, that's 17. Yeah, they're showing those ones.
Okay. I don't think the odds are great. I think they're trying to keep him. Personally, I'd pretty low, 10%.
10%.
Yeah.
Disappointed in you. This is 50-50 for me.
I want you to sell it. Okay?
This is 50-50. Let me sell this to you, okay? This isn't going to happen at the trade deadline. This is going to happen. First off, they're hoping and praying, obviously, that he has a decent season to better season to still show his potential and walk away healthy. This is going to happen during the offseason up to the draft or even on draft night. This will happen if the number one pick definitely happens, and if they have a top, I want to say top 10 for sure is your other first round pick. I think they fell out of love pretty quickly in the sense that there's certain things that if I'm seeing, the coaches definitely see. He's missing passes. He's missing reads. That isn't no play call in the world. They can't put eyes in there for you and say throw. Like, there isn't a headpiece in there saying throw it here. There's been dudes wide open right in his eye range. Like there's one off to the right. Did you see the one in the end zone?
Yeah, it was really
and that was, I think that was talking about the game. The game he was talking about. I'm like, dude, you missed your guy right here to your right, wide open. This wasn't one where you had to throw him open, right? And it happens all the time. He's a one read and go type of quarterback. I'm not saying he can't develop into more than that. I'm a big Justin Fields guy. He needs to develop, like read stuff quicker and make shit happen in the passing game, not just try to go run. It's almost like he wants to just one read and run, just like a Lamar Jackson. This is what he kind of wants to do. Instead of, I think he has the ability to go and do this, but he just doesn't. I think that was enough right there. I think that was enough, and that they will trade. And I think it will be, and I said it because I was teasing it a second ago, but I actually think it'll be Atlanta. I think Atlanta will. Ritter is a great backup. I think backup quality quarterback. He is not the future. You go grab your future. You pair it up with your tight end.
Oh yeah, he's still there, isn't he?
He is still there. Yeah. Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and that run game, that heavy run game. I actually see them doing that. Arthur Blank getting the quarterback of the future that he really, really wants. He likes Desmond Ridder. He's giving him the opportunity. There's just nothing that really, truly jumps off. He had a good game this last game, but he will go get Fields, and then they're going to end up drafting. Might not be Caleb Williams. We don't know because he said that he won't go but he won't have. I don't know how that'll work. I guess that doesn't happen too much in NFL history. I think Elway did something like that where he refused to go.
Oh, Eli Manning.
Well, yeah. No, I meant like he said that he would just go play baseball. Eli refused, made a trade happen.
Yeah.
He didn't say he's going to go play baseball.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what I mean. I'm just not going to show up. Kind of like your boy that you don't like. Kyler.
Yeah.
I'll go play baseball,
Yeah, I don't, nothing you said was wrong. Here's the deal. The Chicago Bears are not a good organization. So I've been on this boat. You're high on Justin Fields. I am not. I don't think he's a good quarterback.
You don't think so?
No, because when you watch him, doesn't make smart quarterback plays.
He doesn't.
He's not very intelligent when it comes to games. He can put up stats. He can run. He's a freak athlete. If he gets the ball to the best player on the team, DJ Moore, he looks like a genius.
Yep.
Look at
which
the last
is all you had
games.
to do, right?
Right.
You can never. What is the one statement I've made multiple times on here? You can never go wrong if you get the ball to your best goddamn player. Don't care if you're trying to force feed him the whole goddamn game and nobody else.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong. Young quarterback, 100%. Go for your best player.
Yeah. If you're the Bengals, target Jamar Chase 20 times the last
That's
game.
because you have Jamar Chase on your fantasy team.
I'm just saying.
You should have traded him.
The Jaguars, they need to get Ridley the ball every fucking time.
They do. They need to figure out a way.
Right?
You're damn straight.
So, but my point is, Justin Fields is not a good quarterback, but I don't know if they realize that. They should absolutely get rid of him and try to get something else. That should happen. I don't think they will, though. That's where I'm at.
You don't think so?
No, they're not smart. They're not a well-run organization at all. He hasn't been good since he came in, man, and I don't feel like he's developed much when you watch him play.
Yeah.
You know, so
if he's not sprinting, they're not moving the ball. Right. I'm with you. I think he rubbed them the wrong way. That's the reason I'm going to go with that. That's the reason why I'm going to ride with it, too. Rubbed them the wrong way. You know what? We'll reset. This is our team. We'll grab another quarterback. We're on the top end of it anyway. We get to make our pick of the quarterbacks. Yeah. And go through the thorough process. And we get to take another first-rounder and go grab a pivotal piece along the line, right?
Yeah.
So, quick hitter before we get moving. Mac Jones, the Patriots.
He's still the starter.
Back. Did they announce that?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's back-to-back games. He got benched in the fourth quarter for Bailey Zapp. This is with a true offensive coordinator now. The one thing that definitely you preached, right? And it isn't like I'm against you. I agreed with you, too, because I'm like, you can't have a defensive coordinator calling fucking offensive plays. No, you have one of the better offensive play callers. He's been there before, and they balled out, right? I understand that's Tom Brady, but he did just fine when he went down to Houston also, by the way.
Right.
Did just fine when he went to college, when he left Houston. This is what I'm getting at. I know they don't have weapons, Danny. I know they don't have, like, legit receivers, because they don't. Like, let's not try to cuten anything up here. They are really bad. Those guys would not make it. Juju Smith-Schuster should have stayed in Kansas City. He's very fortunate that he even has a job. I mean, his knees are like an inch away from being done for his life.
Yeah, he's like 75
career.
in his knees, right?
Yeah, and their other receivers, Kendrick Bourne, Devontae Parker. What is that, like 7-8 years ago, and he's been dog shit basically.
They didn't want to pay old boy that went to the Raiders. Fucking again, he's had a hell of a year.
My mind, it's leaving my mind, but they don't have a bunch of receivers, okay? They do have a couple tight ends, but he doesn't know how to get the damn ball to them. Either that or the defenses are taking them out because we know you can't throw the wide receivers.
Yeah.
Mac Jones, are you done?
Man. He needs to go somewhere else. He's one that needs to get moved for sure. He's mind-fucked. The whole, like, the organization's starting to get dysfunctional because he's been bad. He's been really bad. Mm-hmm. But they're not putting the ball. Same thing. They're not putting the ball in their best players' hands. Ramondre Stevenson is a fucking stud. Mm-hmm. And he's not getting the touches. They're not passing him the ball. They're not getting him in space where he could do things. They're still. I think Mac is done, to answer your question, but I also feel like Belichick's not too far behind. You can't have that kind of mentality, like the Belichick way, mm-hmm. and not have anybody bought in. It doesn't matter what your way is. You know what I mean?
Who called that? Our predictions. We can go back to the audio if you'd like. We can go back to the audio. I said this was it. This is done. I know I do kind of do that a little bit to a certain extent every year, right? But I think I saw enough last year, even with the defense coordinator calling offensive plays. They hung around weirdly with some of the defensive players that they did have in the scheme that they play. Well, they lost some of those players. And one of their under-the-radar guys who's a Patriots way his whole life, the twins, McCourty, retired. Right? They have guys that have walked way out of the system. It is not the same thing that it ever used to be. And no one wants to buy into that shit anymore. Nobody likes that. Ryan Clark spent like... By the way, get him the fuck off of Monday Night Football, for the love of God.
Not good.
Jesus Christ. I'm so sick and tired of hearing about the fucking Steelers. Every little thing that he talks about is about the goddamn Steelers. I'm like, dude, you're talking about a player that is, like, I can't remember who it was. He's talking about a player that isn't even in the division, and he goes back to, like, well, my Steelers, and I'm like, stop. Okay? Ryan Clark, you got to stop, for the love of God. But he was bashing the whole Patriot system altogether. Because because they were talking about Jimmy G. They made it real uncomfortable, of course, on the broadcast. Talking about Jimmy G, right? Because we were talking about Derek Carr still being there. Did you catch any part of the pregame at all? Okay.
No.
They're talking about, they made it real uncomfortable. RG3 did, talking about Derek Carr should still be there and everything like that. And while the camera is watching Jimmy G warm up like the whole damn time. It's nothing against Jimmy G. We love Jimmy G, the whole thing, but the wheels are coming off here, and the person that used to deal with all this and be in front of it, which I don't disagree with that part. I don't. Was Derek Carr, they had the John Gruden stuff. They had the Henry Ruggs thing, and this is the guy that kind of got out in front of them. And he led that team to the playoffs too, and then you just go and get rid of him. You know why? Because and they might not be wrong in this. I'm just saying he went on a rant, right? Because Ryan Clark jumped in on it. That's the Patriots way. They want, because Josh McDaniels, they don't want anyone to have an opinion and talk out loud or anything like that. You need to be quiet, come to work, and that's what it is. You're not supposed to be having fun. You're supposed to be working. And there was some truth to that. And I think people get tired of doing that over there. You're like, all right, bro, we don't have Tom Brady helping you quiet it down and still keeping us buddy over here type of thing, right, and can also help lead us. We don't have that.
That's why you need both of those pieces.
Yeah, that's why
Tom and Bill.
They yeah, and you could tell. Do we dare say Tom Brady made Bill Belichick then?
Man, that's one of those things. It's like chicken or the egg, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can say
why Tom Brady won a Super Bowl with Tom.
I don't. Yeah, but that was after, right? I don't think Tom exists without Bill.
Before that,
right?
Okay.
So it's a hard deal. I do think that in the end, Tom was bigger than Bill, and more,
and that bugged him.
Yeah, definitely.
Why else? Why'd you worry about getting him out the door? You want to keep riding that as long as you possibly could, right?
Right.
He was getting bigger. Agreed. That's bigger than Bill, right? That's bigger than the Patriot way.
Right.
TB12.
100%, man.
Had his own trainer in the building. We don't do that, right?
No, we don't do that. I agree with the analyst thing, though. They're starting to get real out of pocket with shit, man. It wasn't Ryan Clark. After the Chiefs-Jets game that last week, they were interviewing Jones, and they were talking about how Zach Wilson played and stuff. He had a good game, but he's trash. He is not a good quarterback. Literally.
And Jones
trash.
Wouldn't bite on it.
No, he wouldn't. He's like, no, man. He's fine, whatever. He's like, no. I'm gonna
that was
say
Ryan Clark, wasn't it?
I can't remember if it was.
I think it was Ryan Clark again.
Yeah. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? That's not.
That's what we pay. That's what they pay him for.
Yeah, exactly. You were a player, man. You were a player in the NFL. What if somebody was talking about your quarterback like that?
Right. And it wasn't even his quarterback. Jones won't say that. They won't say that because they see the arm talent. They know the talent's there. If he can put something together up here to where he reads it before he goes.
Yeah.
You can't say he's trash.
I don't even know if it's that, man. I think for most NFL players, they just have respect for each other. Yeah. And they don't say shit like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
No matter how high or how low somebody is, you don't overpraise them.
Well, I don't know. There's a lot of people that beat up on Baker Mayfield, including me. But there's a lot of people out there in the NFL that were beating up on him.
Beat up on him?
Yeah, Odell, his dad.
Yeah, I guess it's fair. Yeah, maybe even that.
Nobody
that's a good example
but nobody really came to his aid when he was getting bashed, either current or former players at that point.
That's fair. Yeah, I don't like it.
I don't either. But I respect to Jones in that aspect, 100%. No, dude, I think you're right. I didn't catch that interview, but I saw the title of it. There's a picture and it's saying Ryan Clark went too far, and then I read the article what he did. I just didn't see the video. But they said Jones wouldn't bite on it.
Yeah,
which is mass respect. First off, we just beat them. You put them in a tough position. We weren't supposed to play. We weren't supposed to play against him. We were supposed to play against Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
And homeboy came out here and actually balled. Actually gave them a fighting chance in this game.
Yeah, we were supposed to win this game by 10. Okay, we almost lost.
Right.
So what? Yeah.
Well, there's another one. Do you see that? That was the slide. The Patrick Mahomes slide.
Yeah, at the
2-yard line. That would have shot it over the 8.
Dude, yeah.
That would have shot it over the -8.
That's a good call.
That the spread had gotten up to.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about fantasy. There's a lot of people. There's someone that lost by 0.2 or something because he didn't go in. He didn't go in. But yeah,
I didn't think about the line on that. Yeah, that's a good point.
-8 on that one too. I did want to chat a little bit about this. We got to go down a little bit of conspiracy here. You obviously have seen Israel, and I'm not going to go into that. Like, I don't know the exact terminology for every little part, so please don't chew me up about this one. But Israel and Palestine basically been going to a war with each other. If you look up Google says since like 1967. I'm 99.9% sure it's been hundreds of years.
Since the beginning of fucking time, basically, dude.
Right. But the first declared war, I guess, was 1967. Now, they've been battling each other for, like we just said, a couple hundreds of years, right? Over the Gaza Strip but missiles getting fired. What do they call that? The Iron Shield?
The Iron Dome.
The Iron Dome. Couldn't get them all. A couple of them didn't make it through.
Well, they were, I'm trying to remember. I want to say a bunch of them, they were firing off inside the city. So, like, the only way the Iron Dome's going to do anything is if it's from the outside going in, right? So I want to say a bunch of them were inside the city already, and it was fucking, that's why it did a bunch of damage and shit. Like rocket launchers and, shit like that. Yeah. But beyond that, anyway, keep going.
So some American citizens were killed. Like I said, I'm not giving you a full-blown all that. It's somewhere around like 12 or 1,500 people have died. A few of them were Americans. There's like a few hundred, 250 or something like that in that ballpark that they're holding hostage, 500 somewhere in that ballpark, that they're saying if, you don't give up this, blah, 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 then we're going to start executing one at a time. Of course, we may be getting involved.
We are.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we are. Yeah. But are we done with another one that we've dabbled in?
We're sending the largest naval carrier that the world's ever known to Israel to help.
So we're sending that over that way. What's going to protect us, right? But I'm not even going down this road of the conspiracy because that one's that's actually just more freaky, scary, more than anything.
We're getting stretched thin, man.
We're going to be stretched real thin, right, number one, right? I do believe we've pissed off Russia, right? Who also has nuclear weapons, and you just gave away, and you're use it again, the phrase you just said.
The naval carrier, yeah.
The largest?
Yep.
And
the entire world.
In the entire world, which has some of the best defense mechanisms on board, which has a couple nukes on board, I do believe also. I watched this video of like saying all the stuff that we do have. But you send that over that way, right? Not good. Here's my conspiracy, though. Why in the fuck are we getting involved besides some U.S. lives? You know how many U.S. lives die every single day overseas that we don't know about? Yeah. Now, it isn't that I don't want revenge on anything. American blood is precious to me, okay? It really is. Soldiers especially that fight for our country, right? So I'm not trying to be insensitive to this part, but what I'm getting at is this is the same man that didn't shed a tear, didn't apologize for anything when he pulled our troops at the start of his term that got U.S. soldiers killed. Remember that?
Yeah.
If you guys remember anything about TikTok, say their name, Joe Biden. Say their name, right? Why are we getting involved? I don't know. The last time we got involved, that we were in a war, was Mr. George W. Bush, right? How did it... He wasn't exactly... He was one of the lowest rated presidents, like for approval rating, right? Until Mr. Joe Biden here. How did he get a second term, Danny?
War.
Because the one thing that most people, and I tend to somewhat agree a little bit on this, a little bit. The worst thing you can do is take what you would think of as stability and take that out to bring something else in while you need the most stability at a particular time, especially when we're talking about war and lives. So that got him a second term, right? For the most part. Got people to jump on board like, yeah, we all got to get behind him. Even Democrats, there's videos of them saying we need to get behind George W. here. You know, that's what it was because we were at war, right?
Yeah.
Can't take Trump out, right? They've done anything and everything they possibly can to try to take Trump out. Trumped up charges, some real charges that you normally wouldn't prosecute. all kinds of shit, trying to get him have indicted him, have tried to do this, that, and the other. Well, none of it's looking like it's going to work, and it looks like he's probably going to be the Republican side, and most likely may end up as president, right? What's the one thing that you can do? Get yourself into a war that has nothing to do with us except for the few lives. Like I said, do not bash me for that part, because I do have a heart. But you're sending the biggest, say it again?
The biggest naval carrier, yeah.
In the world.
Yeah.
Okay? By far, too, by the way. Over there for what? They knew they were American lives that they shot missiles to? Like, this hasn't been a, like we said, 1,000-year war?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you've got some merit, man. They're trying to do whatever they can, because at this point, what's interesting is Trump could end up being the Speaker of the House, actually, which would be wild. And one thing to think about, though, is do you know who funded the people that, we'll just use the terrorists that did what they did to Israel? You know who funds that group?
Please.
Iran. So I don't know if you remember any multiple points in history. Iran got pallets of cash from a country. Do you remember what country gave them a shitload of money? Like billions of dollars?
Refresh my memory.
Us. Yeah. So we basically funded this. You know what I mean? Like we gave them billions of dollars to release some hostages, and there's also bribery in there because we're trying to basically pay them off not to make nukes and shit, like just dumb stuff. Mm-hmm. And they are funding this. And if you look up videos and stuff after that happened,
supposedly that they never spent a cent of that.
Yeah.
They never spent a cent. It's sitting there in the bank, Danny.
Yeah, dude.
You didn't see that?
I believe it.
I do. I know what you're talking about now, but they claim that never been touched.
Yeah, I'm sure that's true. But a little bit deeper into this, there's pressure on Biden to put more sanctions on Iran. Which what does that cost? There's a certain cost associated with Iran that is going to go up again.
Is that oil?
Yeah.
And
I think we're out of our reserve, because I think it was like the 24th of September. We had like 17 days left of the strategic oil reserve here. And so I think we're past that. So we've got nothing left. Right? Like it goes real deep, man. There's a lot of just fuckery that's putting us in a bad spot. And we're sending more money over there. You know what I mean? We already are sending billions to Ukraine. We're sending billions now to Israel. We're not doing shit for anybody in Hawaii. The whole island burned magically, right? All of this stuff.
Except for Oprah's.
Chaos is what they're trying to do, man. It's chaos. And I don't even know if you can call that a conspiracy theory at this point, you know?
We have to call it that so we don't get disappeared, Danny. It's just a conspiracy, okay?
It is a conspiracy.
I don't even think they give a fuck anymore, honestly. I don't even think they try to make you disappear. Like, yeah, so.
It's kind of like
what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, it's kind of like the NFL with their terrible ref.
Yeah, like what? At least they're trying that. Like they try to get ahead of it by like coming up with fake commercials to make it look like it's a joke when it actually is happening. Yeah, that isn't what it is all about.
Speaking of conspiracies, I'm pretty jacked. My wife is on board with one of my
Flat Earth finally?
Not that one. No, she won't do that. She gets mad about that.
She gets so angry.
No, the moon though. She's like, I can get behind that one. That one makes sense. I'm like, yeah, because it was horse shit.
Watch it.
Yeah.
Like when you're a kid, you don't think about it, and you actually start watching some of them. Like, God damn, I was hoodwinked.
Yeah, it's so bad.
I don't even know if they teach that in school anymore. I think even they've wrapped around to the fact that all right.
Let's just not touch this.
Like the flag isn't supposed to be fucking moving. You know, right. There's certain shit that ain't supposed to be happening here. That
right. And there's a camera out there. Who put the camera out there?
That's weird.
You know, shit like that. There's a lot of weird stuff. It's
E.T.
really
Holmes.
bad. It's
E.T.
really
Holmes.
bad production.
It is. It was poor thinking, and it's insane that it never dawned on me up until like a year ago, maybe. You know how you see that? You were this many years old when you thought about this. How in the fuck are you making a phone call in 1967, whatever the fuck year it was, 67, 69, I think it was 69, right? 69 up to the fucking moon.
Right.
Are you kidding me?
Right, 100%.
Yeah, not possible.
This shit's hilarious.
So
Sam's on board. I'm pretty jacked up about that. But
we'll get her on that flat Earth one too.
working on it.
That enough stuff just kind of points. I just want to see the other side of the Arctic. Was it Antarctica? You're not allowed to go to certain parts of Antarctica. You need a drone
You can't
that can handle
measure
the cold.
it. That's a big one. You can't measure it on Google Earth. You can measure
it bounces around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, huh.
That's weird.
Here's the cool
shape.
One,
shape, right?
You can't measure it at all. Like it'll show Antarctica as like this big, continent.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
this.
but
yeah, you can't do it.
I watched this chick kind of do it, and then she tried it because you try to draw roughly the shape around it.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to take it and then tell you what the measurement is.
Yeah.
It literally would take the shape, but it would crank the shape around and change it into something like that. Like nothing.
All jacked up. Yeah.
So you can't actually get it.
I think my favorite one right now, the laser one was a big deal, but this dude goes and he researches flight paths, right? Mm-hmm. So he'll be like, I want to look at a flight from South America to India. Let's see what that would look like. If you just go on a map, it should just go, maybe we stop in Africa and then we end up, here's a straight flight, no problem, whatever. Well, then you Google flights and there's only like, 2 ways that you can go. And it always is a jacked up. It's never a straight thing. It's like you go up over here. And in this case, it was like, I think you went to fucking, I don't know, Spain or something. And then you come over all the way to India. Doesn't make any sense. Takes way longer and everything. So what this dude does is he goes back to like one of those original maps, like where the Earth is flat maps, right? Yeah. And he's like, okay, so that doesn't make any sense on our map that we know now. So let's look to see if it would make sense on this map. Fucking straight line.
Shut up.
Straight line.
Shut up.
This dude has me. He's got me tripping. He's been doing a bunch of this stuff.
Did you send this to your wife yet?
It's worth checking out. I have sent a couple, and she's like, something can explain that. She won't do it. She won't even budge.
She won't even try to do. She won't even get her to bite to do some research to prove you wrong, right?
Nope. She's like, I'm not hearing it.
She's like, I'm just not having it.
No.
I have one of those flat Earth psycho husbands. I'm like,
I'm gonna keep pushing the buttons.
All I'm saying is, you know what? Sometimes you get your eyes open. I'm not saying it's true or not true. I say I like to keep an open mind and prove me right, prove me wrong, whatever it is. Show me the light. I do have a make sense for you. We'll save. Do I want to save the supervisor one? I think I'll save the supervisor one for you because I got to give this other one out of my inner core. All right. Danny G, we were informed today at my wonderful place of employment that, let me give you some stats. Evidently we average one sliced, poked, whatever hand per plant, 3 major plants. I don't know if they're counting a 4th one or not, but 3 major plants sliced with a razor knife. At least one recordable incident per plant.
Per how often?
Per year.
Okay.
Per year. Which you don't want to see anyone get hurt. I agree with that 1,000%, right? We don't want to see anyone get hurt. Now, at our plant, we cut a fuckload of bags on a regular basis. Some of the plants don't do that. Some of them have like newer stuff and they don't have to worry about some of that. They get to suck up out of a tote. That's how they weigh their stuff. They don't have to cut bags. They don't have to cut rework stuff because we get all that and we had to take care of that shit. So we get a bunch of stuff in, right? We cut, and this is not exaggerating, we cut thousands upon thousands upon thousands of bags a year. Thousands. One goddamn sliced hand to the number of attempts that you be pulling. That's not to mention anything else that you're cutting with your razor knife. We're just talking about bags. Just bags. Thousands, maybe even 100,000 bags. We're talking about our plant, and if you combine all the plants together, that one stab, right? That isn't even going to flick the bean of a percent.
No, not at all.
Right? Like, you don't want to see anyone get hurt. Let's make that very clear. You don't, right? But accidents happen, right? I mean, sometimes shit just happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes, so let me give you that. We are going to a safety knife.
Oh, I like where this is going.
We're going to a safety knife, Danny. What is a perfect example? Maybe you've even seen one. So from now on, instead of a straight unfolding razor knife, this will now be a knife that you have a push up like this, but you got to keep it pushed up and able to use it.
Shut up.
Now, your normal hand would just be if I'm going to cut a bag, I'm just going to go like this, and it's a lot looser. It'll be like something like that, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like that. Now I'm going to have to hold this thing up like this and cut across. Danny, how many knife injuries of any kind do you know that when the blade isn't being held in the hand? How many do you know that it's the exact same hand you're actually using to use the knife?
Yeah. Nope.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense at all.
That's usually your other hand then, right?
Yeah.
Probably, most likely your other hand.
Yeah.
Because how in the fuck would that happen right here unless it literally fumbled out of your hands right?
Right.
So you're coming and slicing across. You're going to know before you get over here to your other hand to let go of the fucking thing? Any chance of that? Is it actually going to?
I doubt it.
Okay. So now you're going to an uncomfortable position of holding this damn thing, which could create carpal tunnel among other things, but you're in a...
Well, and when you're cutting bags, like it's not always a smooth cut either.
Yeah.
So you're like kind of like you might have to do one of those or a couple swipes,
Yep.
and you're holding it weird.
Yeah. Yep. And this is frustrating. So frustrating. I try not to get my blood pressure up on this one. Just pure stupidity. We go 0 to 100. When something happens, we overreact 100% more than what we should. It's not reactive. It is overreactive by a mile, right? 100 miles. So we're going to go do this with this knife that is going to correct every issue. Now, the guy that announced that today is the Ponzi fucking safety guy to the major corporate safety guy. And the major corporate safety guy is the one making the decision. Was the major corporate safety guy down there to inform us of this?
I would bet no, Jimmer.
You are 1,000% correct, Nanny. He was not. They don't have a SAC. So you send the plant safety guy to come tell, even though it's not really his decision. His plant that he comes from, because all of our promotions, for the most part, of anything of value, usually comes from the God's Land Shell Rock. And he's like, well, our plant has been using this safety knife for 5 years. And this is in front of everybody. This is a kickoff meeting. I'm like, I was like, I'm going to stop you for a second. You said your plant has been using a safety knife for 5 years? Yeah. Didn't you just say that every single plant is averaging a stabbed hand a year? Every single year? But you've been using it for 5 years. Well, the one that happened was it was an illegal knife that he used. And and then later on he's like, and it got dropped. It dropped. He went to go catch it. Well, if he went to go catch it, it was
Yeah, I think that would be safe.
Yeah, but no, it was an illegal knife. He was using a knife that wasn't the safety knife. But what about the other 4? Because you've been using it for 5 years, and you said every year every plant has one.
Right.
We cut way more bags than any of them. This is going to be a fucking catastrophe. This is the definition of make sense if you don't think about it. This is not going to stop a fucking knife from slicing your other hand when you're holding it right here. Whatever you're doing, how often is it the same hand that you're actually using?
Yeah, if anything, it might make it more likely that you get a cut because you're holding it weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's gonna
that you're
change the
not
way
used
you're
to?
cutting. Yeah.
Yeah. No, abso-fucking-lutely it is. We don't look at the room that the issue happened in to see that room is out of date in every part. Like when you hold a bag up on it, you're literally holding it up on a hopper, not on a table or platform, to where you can sit the bag up next to the hopper and you slice it nice and easy and then tip it in. No, on the one that the injury happened at our plant. Granted, it was a tote that he did it to. He sliced towards him. That makes him stupid.
It's an idiot.
Yeah, that's just an idiot. You can't idiot-proof everything. Otherwise, you're going to make it unsafe. You're actually going to go the other way with safety. You're gonna think you're going safe, but you're actually going to go the other way because what you just said. It was a perfect example. Like, it's not a natural thing. You're going to end up fucking something up, right? But that particular area, you don't even have, it isn't even up to date in any way, shape, or form. We're not looking at the areas. We're not looking at the other reasons. We're looking at just the knife. What stabbed? It's like seriously looking at somebody, like the gun. It's the gun's fault why it shot somebody, not the person that pulled the trigger.
Man, see, Jimmer, here's what I feel like. Sometimes in a job, there are people that have to do things that they think justify their job, right? They want to like, this is why we have a job. See, we're doing stuff, and they do shit that doesn't make sense because they have to feel like they're doing something.
Right, they have to justify their pay,
that's what
right?
this is, right? Like,
right.
Jesus.
Isn't that one of the things you were? By the way, makes sense if you don't think about it. But isn't that one of the things that you got irritated with one of your previous jobs when you lived in Des Moines and started turning real heavily into stuff like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Because you start getting into micromanaging. It's micromanaging because they have nothing to do. They need to justify themselves, their jobs, or anything else because they're not the ones making the company money.
Right.
They need to fuck with the people that are making the company money to justify their own jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's all we have. We have a 50 million fucking Chiefs and no Indians. That will tie into another makes sense if you don't think about it, which hopefully we get to roll on Friday after the game. And I will tell you about the supervisor one. Need to get that one off my chest because that one gets me all. This is all bundled together, baby. All bundled together.
All bundled, baby. I love it.
I love Pin Pro.
Pin Pro is great. Well, I'm glad we got to hop on tonight, man. It was good talking shit. What's the game tomorrow night, by the way?
Oh, is that
Chiefs and...
It was someone that... Broncos.
So nobody cares. Okay.
Well, they kind of do. Your boy's not doing that bad. You can't even give him a little bit of love. Statistically, he's not doing bad. That team is not playing good at all. Yeah. The defense is playing really bad. You can't say that he's playing bad, though, right? Be honest there. You can't say playing bad. You don't have to say he's playing good, Danny.
He's improved since last year.
Drastically since last year, because last year he was bad until the last few games, right?
Sean Payton came, and he's improved since last year. That's what I'm going to give you. That's all I'm going to give you.
We're going to give more. Come on.
I'm gonna give you.
We're going to give more. I promise we're going to give more. I'm going to pull up the stats real quick. But go ahead and do your wrappy up.
I know stats-wise, when they're getting...
Don't matter. He's not throwing picks at that time.
He's getting a lot of garbage time, dude. That's what's happening.
Brother, he has 1,200 yards passing. He's averaging 7.4 yards per pass, too. So it's not just some dink and dunk shit. 11 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. He's eaten 15 sacks already.
Let me give them this. Denver's a prime example of what we talked about earlier. You need to get your talent the ball. Marvin Mims needs to get the ball way more.
He does.
The man's electric. Like, there's no reason you don't do it. You're not winning. Fucking try it. See what you can do, right? Anyway.
They need to recoup some of these draft picks anyway, right? They need to piece out from, I would assume Jerry Jeudy is what I would probably go with, because Cortland is that hops up and get it type of guy, and Russell does need some of that, right?
Yeah.
But you need to get rid of one of the two regardless, right?
Yeah.
Recoup some of this. I'm like, you have, like you just said, you have Marvin Mims Jr., you have... you can keep one of the other receivers, get the other one on his way, and try to get some of these draft picks so you can try to build around if this is the team that you guys that they dreamed about, right?
Right.
That they can build on.
Yeah, totally.
Marvin Mims is leading the team in receiving yards. I honestly did not know that.
And he is only there it's ridiculous, like 2% of routes or some bullshit. Like, it's insane how little he's even playing.
Dude, he's averaging 24.6 yards per reception. He only has 10 receptions.
Exactly. 10 receptions. Dude.
Jeez, yards after catch 76. Good Lord.
Yeah, you got to watch some highlights of that cat. He's a freak, man.
They need to figure out a way, and I think coaching is as up to par as what we thought. I don't know if that year off actually. I don't know if that year actually hurt him. The year off.
Well, and here's the other thing. I guess maybe we kind of overblew him too, because he won one Super Bowl, right?
Right. And
eventually, he got to a point where New Orleans was kind of perennial. Eventually, but that did take a while.
And they 10, 11, 12 barely happened that many times, really. He was in the NFC South. So, you always competed against, the Panthers and the Bucks before they got Tom Brady.
Right.
And then you had Atlanta, of course. That's the team that you kind of do, but... Maybe we did. Maybe we kind of overhyped him because it's like, dude, you had Drew Brees, who is no doubt a Hall of Famer, right? One of the best passers of all time.
100%.
what'd you do after that? And I'm higher up on Russell than you are, but I don't think Russell fits his style of quarterback that works best for him, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And vice versa. This is both. I don't know if it's really a good match. Like, I don't know. He is playing pretty damn well. He's throwing 67%. He's completing 67%. His rating's over 100. The stats show they are, but nobody else is doing anything. The defense is horrendous.
So bad. It doesn't make any sense.
That makes no sense. Zero.
No, it doesn't.
But
all right, let's start to wrap this bitch up, man. So here's what I'm thinking. If you beautiful people out there happen to find us on the interwebs, be sure to like, subscribe, share the whole 9 yards. We really appreciate it. But where's the podcast available, Jimmer?
Anywhere and everywhere podcasts are available. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and YouTube. YouTube.
There we go, baby. And I tell you what, we love to tell a good story, right? I'm all about story time.
Oh, absolutely.
So if any of you people out there, any of you devoted listeners, got a good story for us, doesn't matter if it's PG, XXX, we don't give a shit.
Yeah.
If you've got something you want us to tell, be sure to go ahead and slide on in
to the DMs. Give us that story, baby. I love being entertained. I like the good story. You know what? I don't even care if you make it up as long as I get a good laugh out of it, right? We love to hear conspiracies too. Let's bring them in. Like, get our mindset on it. Show us more of the flat Earth stuff. Danny's almost basically the hook, line, and sinker. He's practically there, right? Maybe give him some evidence to help with his debate with his wife.
Yeah, man, I agree. I also think that there's too many crazy flat earthers that make me go the other way, too. Then I'm like, hold on, this is not obviously real. But what do you do? But even if y'all got like fantasy questions or thoughts, we'll dive more into fantasy here eventually, too, as we get things back kind of up and rolling. But definitely hit us up and let us know. But for now, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you, everybody, for listening. This is 3 Gig Sports.
We out.